Alright everybody, this is JJ, Keyword Crypto. Thanks for tuning in. I've been away for a bit and thought I'd get back to the show. I wanted to talk about some things that are kind of weird in crypto right now. I was thinking, what is DeFi? I remember hearing about this like earlier this year or even last year, this DeFi. Okay, Ethereum is... all the Ethereum guys are talking about this new DeFi thing and it's going to be blowing up and it's a big deal. But I didn't understand what it meant. I didn't really know. I thought maybe, okay, this is the new thing that's going into Ethereum 2.0. This is proof of stake and that's what it is. You need 32 ETH to be involved and you're going to get rich if you have that much. I didn't have that much, so I just kind of ignored it. And slowly, I started to hear more about decentralized exchanges, which I always thought were kind of a meme in the past. I mean, I had used IDEX and EtherDelta, and I thought that they would never really catch on. But then slowly I started to hear about Uniswap, and ironically, we heard about Uniswap because we interviewed Richard Hart, the creator of Hex, and also a YouTuber. And he actually did kind of start getting people to use Uniswap because they were buying his token, and this was before it started to take off. And I think that was the first time I started to realize that DeFi, decentralized finance, was really replacing a lot of financial mechanisms of the traditional world, and that's kind of what it means. So, okay, exchanges. Then what else? We've got lending and borrowing. We've got staking. We've got, I don't know, basically everything that you can do with a bank or with an exchange, with like a trading outpost or whatever. Now we can do on the blockchain with Ethereum, and not just Ethereum, but all of these other blockchains as well. We've got the Binance chain now, which has got a bunch of coins. We've got, I don't know what's on Tezos, but I hear they're doing something. What's the other one? Cosmos. And all of these blockchains that you can build smart contracts on are using smart contracts to just suck people's money in and hold it and allow people to, build financial structures that way on the blockchain. Okay, that's cool. But now we've got all these basically these scams, right? So anybody who can create anybody who can create a smart contract, it literally could be anyone who knows a little bit of Solidity or even can just copy and paste. Now you've got people who they actually want to rip people off, right? That's their intention. And it's pretty easy to do right now because what's going on? What's going on now is you've got anybody who can make a smart contract and build a website is now saying, I've got this project. It's going to be awesome in the future. It's going to be a decentralized exchange that will allow you to add liquidity and borrow and lend. And basically it'll walk your dog for you or whatever. All you got to do is send some money to this contract, which is basically just like an ICO. And because of that, and because people remember the ICO craziness, this is what's really blowing my mind, is that because people remember the ICO craziness and how the earlier that you got in, the more money that you made. Now people are going to these websites and they're looking, or they'll go to these projects. They're like, I heard about this project called Whip Crypto or something like that. And I looked for a website, but I didn't find a website. And that's a good sign. I'm going to be in before the website. And then they're finding out, there's not even a logo yet. I'm in before the logo. This is going to make me rich because this company doesn't have a website or a logo, and I can't even contact the developer. So this is going to be a really good project. And people are actually thinking about this, and they're thinking, man, I'm going to get in so early. Thing that is happening, though, and this is where people are losing their money. Well, they're losing their money in a couple different ways, as usual in crypto. But one way is that these developers are knowingly creating scam tokens where they load up all the money that they've got into liquidity, into like Uniswap or one of these decentralized exchanges. I actually don't know if there are many of them yet besides Uniswap, but basically they create a token, they throw it on Uniswap, they build some kind of hype, maybe throw it on Twitter, create a website, whatever, and then they load up all the Ethereum that they've got as liquidity to make it look like liquidity is climbing up and up and up. People buy into this, then they just suck all their liquidity out. That's called a rug pull. And the developer now has enough money to live for a year or two or whatever. So I don't know. I'm not an expert on this. It seems like this is what's going on. This is just a little bit of research I've done in the last few weeks. And I think it's pretty darn exciting because we're seeing a new kind of instance of ICO mania, which is always kind of, that's kind of fun, but it also kind of sucks because a lot of people are getting into this and they don't know what they're doing, and they're hearing from other people that the earlier you can get in, the better. And that's not even going into what these financial services offer. So sending all your money to a contract, thinking that you're going to get some yield, you're going to get some dividends from holding it with that contract is pretty crazy, because even if the developer is honest, and even if he intends for you to be able to yield farm or whatever, there's no guarantee that he can actually keep his he can keep his project from getting hacked or whatever. And that we've seen that in the last few months or whatever, is these projects getting hacked and a lot of people losing their money. I don't know how I feel about it. I think there's something that's really exciting about being able to make money in different ways now in crypto. Before it was just you had to buy a token early and then hope that it went to the moon. But now there's all these new ways to get rich and also lose your money. It's a pretty exciting time. What do you think, Michael?
Scam. Yam scam.
Yam was a great project, actually.
Full on Yam scam.
So here's the funny thing about Yam. So, oh my God. So basically this developer is like, I'm going to make a project where you can basically if you buy it and hold it, you're going to become a millionaire. And everyone's like, that's great. Let's build a community around it. And then when it failed, the guy was like, oh, I'm really sorry, guys. I'm heartbroken because it failed. And everyone's like, don't worry, man. Better
you
luck next
your
time.
Hardest. I couldn't believe the people who were consoling him on Twitter after giving him and losing thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And being like, it's okay. It was just an experiment.
I thought it was funny that
just an experiment. Yeah. What the fuck?
What I thought was funny is all of the there's a lot of the old time crypto dudes, the crypto OGs they're at this point they're too lazy to learn some new aspect of crypto. They just kind of want to either mine and then dump their mine bags, or they want to buy something on an exchange. All of them going, you think I'm dumb enough to buy something called tendies or some yams or whatever? And it's you don't quite understand. A lot of people really hated. There was a lot of hate for that project, Ampleforth. I don't know if you knew that project, which in my opinion was really interesting. That was one of the first ones that was oh, they're making a stable coin where the supply changes, whether it's below or above $1. But that just meant that early on, everybody who bought it above $1 thought they were going to get filthy rich. And when it went to negative, when it went below $1, everyone was like, what's going on? Where's my money going? I mean, pretty weird to watch your wallet go up and down in coins. I mean, that's the thing, that the idea is that in the future it flattens out because there's so little volatility. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if it can work. It's all about the market cap, really.
You know what it feels like to me? It feels like CDOs.
Are those scams?
Credit default swaps.
Okay, yeah.
Whatever.
Those are the
things
from
2008.
Yeah, those things fucked us all up forever.
And it reminds me of it because it seems like, so back then it was these business kids who were working in Wall Street, and I'm sure the higher ups were like, "Yo, you got to figure out how to make us more money, because it can only go up from here, and if it doesn't keep going up, the whole country's going to collapse and blah blah." And they were like, "Okay, cool, we'll figure something out." And they came up with credit default swaps, and they were just some like idiots in a room with high IQs and no morals just sat there in a room and just got high on coffee for 3 days straight or meth or something like that, and came up with this really absurd idea to make money. And Wall Street was like, yes, credit default swaps sound perfect. And that's what it sounds like these people are doing with DeFi.
But instead of like it being some like fat guy with a cigar, instead it's like some dude in like Nairobi, like thinking he's going to be, or like it's somebody in a small town who happens to have some coding skills that's like, I'm going to rip all these people off. That's the way I see it. I don't think it's not big organizations saying this is how we take the little guy's money. In this case, it's like No.
I'm talking about just the people who thought this up. I think these are people just people in the crypto space were like, okay, how do we make? So we tried ICOs, we tried IEOs. Okay. Now what do we do? Like what's the next thing? Okay. So we'll put our brain juice together and we'll do it.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
And then they do it, and then all these people, all these hackers, all these like thieves around the world are like, oh, these guys are so dumb. This is going to be the easiest way to take all their money. And in 2 days, they build the site, they copy and paste the code, they create their own coin, their own DeFi coin, and just steal everybody's money. Because, as smart as people are in the crypto space, these are the kind of idiots who have genius level IQs but can't figure out how to read a map and go 3 blocks away. Because they just don't have any like social life experience, and they just don't think like what could go wrong, because any person who's lived and taken care of themselves for any amount of time, if you ask them what could go wrong with this, be like, really? Like you could get rug pulled, you could do this, you could do that. They just start listing off all these things of like, you're giving some random stranger, you're literally sending money to a fake Elon Musk, expecting him to send you 5 Bitcoin back. Like that's literally what these people are doing right now, and thinking that,
So you think that, so I don't know, you read more news about this than I did. So like the thing is, when people were all kind of, oh, DeFi, it's going to change the world, that was basically like were people trying to build buzz around that then, thinking that this was going to be good for the crypto, like this was going to help crypto adoption? Is that's what you're saying? And then
DeFi is actually amazing if you look at, but it's not technically decentralized. So we don't really have DeFi yet. We have CeFi, which is centralized, like or Cetify or something like that. Centralized, decentralized. So like Celsius, Nexo, BlockFi. They're getting rid of the middleman. You're going direct to the borrower. People are uploading some crypto, and then if I put in like $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, I can take out a loan for 7,000 USD without having to lose my Bitcoin. So I can get a loan, and and my Bitcoin is my collateral, and I can use the loan and then pay it back. And then if for some reason I can't pay it back, they take the Bitcoin. So like that's a pretty good system. I like that system. And then the people loaning get the money as opposed to the bank getting the money.
Okay. So that makes a lot of sense to me. But now we've got all the BitConnect guys are going like, oh boy, here we go again. And I'm still anonymous, and I'm still on, I'm still on the run or whatever. And they just see it as like, oh shit, this is going to be even easier because we don't need to actually create. All we need to do, we don't need to get onto an exchange. We just need to.
Exactly.
I created my own Ethereum smart contract. I called it a token. It was just a kind of experiment. I basically just I just copied and pasted some code and
made the scam.
It was the most basic smart contract token that I could have found, and I created, and I named it, and if I wanted to, I could throw it on. I could create a website, and I could add some liquidity to Uniswap right now. And I could probably convince people that it's going to be a good project as soon as I get the website up.
So, I mean, the more we talk about this, the more I'm thinking like Richard Hart could just pull all the liquidity. So every single hex token that people have locked up and all the Ethereum that people paid into it. So obviously he's taking all the Ethereum. That's just a given. So he's taking all the Ethereum, and then he's trying to convince people to lock up all the hex.
Yeah.
Could he just rug pull every single person?
But when he was I mean, he could. But when he was working on this, like all last year and the year before, like he didn't know that Uniswap was going to land exactly when it did he? Was that his plan, was to like basically have a decentralized liquidity pool around it? I mean, it's almost like that was too perfect. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't think I've never heard him say to anybody, hey, put in your liquidity to make it better. I don't know if people just did it automatically.
No, but he's never said that. I've never heard him say that. And the thing about adding liquidity, like, so the idea is that you are going to, the liquidity that you add, you're going to make money off of because of the, at first I thought it was fees. At first I thought it was fees, but is that the way it works? I just assumed it was.
I honestly, I think you know more about this than I do.
Then how do you can't even really monitor. Like you have no idea if you're making money. You're not.
Well, I mean, because the Uniswap, when I was tinkering around with the hex just to look at it and figure it all out, and it jumped from Uniswap version 1 to Uniswap version 2, it was saying how much liquidity was in the pool. And I wasn't, so I started looking into that, and it's like, oh, if I put in liquidity, then somehow I'm profiting, and I assumed it was from fees.
Okay,
but
I don't know. I mean, the reason this last week, I was like, I gotta find out more about this stuff, and like, I gotta find out how people are getting ripped off. So I kind of had to think like a dumb person about how to do this, and so I joined a paid group. This is really funny. So you remember the BitConnect guy Trevon James?
Yeah.
So I joined his like.
Shut up.
Yeah, I joined his paid group.
Shut up.
I did.
How much does it cost?
It's $5 a month. It's $5 a month, and he's fucking hilarious, man. Okay, he came up, like, I was watching YouTube, and he came up like a suggested video, and I was like, this guy's still around? I thought he was like, in hiding or whatever.
In jail.
Well, I mean, it was one of those things also where I was like, this guy probably got a lot of hate just because he was black. I mean, that sucks, but it's probably true because there were a lot of people shilling BitConnect, and he became Satan among crypto. So like I watched.
He was also one of the biggest guys. It was him and these two
yes, but
Hispanic guys. I don't know if they were like Cuban or whatever, and from Florida, or I don't know, but those were like those three. So those two Hispanic guys and Trayvon were like the biggest YouTubers at the time for BitConnect.
Yeah,
that I'm aware of. Well, and I think there was one hot blonde too.
Well, so well, here's the thing with him. I actually went back and looked at some of his old videos. He's always been about Ponzi schemes. Like, that's what his show's about. Like, it's about, and he'll even say it, I'm investing in this Ponzi scheme. Don't do it if you don't want to lose all your money. And in fact, he does this thing in his videos now where he like takes questions from his followers. It's like, you ask me questions, and somebody was like, hey, can I get in on one of your Ponzi schemes? And then Trevon James is like, listen, I'll tell you all about Ponzi schemes, but they're Ponzi schemes. You're going to lose all your money. Here's one. It's called like Tron Gamble or something. You put all your Tron in and then you lose it all. But don't do that, because I did that in 2017 and people got mad at me.
So what is he doing? Is he still trying to play the game or something? Well, or thinking that he's gonna magically get out in time?
Well, now he's into doing a few different things. One is looking for Uniswap, tokens with no logos and no websites that are obvious scams. And then he's into looking for ways that he can like basically like the passive income type things. Like you put all your tokens into this sketchy looking website that was made by a 5-year-old, and then like apparently in a year, man. And he does this stuff. I mean, he's totally taking risks. He's like, it's like extreme sports for him. It's like I'm putting like $10,000 into this contract, and like it's like you get the adrenaline rush of watching him do it or whatever. That's what it is. That's what he's always been about. So I actually think that a lot of his hate was a little bit. I mean, it was kind of like, well, okay, yeah, we're choosing to hate somebody over the BitConnect thing, and he really did. His website was all about referral links, so he was making money off all of the people who got in through his website, which was not cool. He should have been a little bit more like. Well,
was he making up? Because wasn't he getting BitConnect referral? Like his referral fee wasn't BitConnect. So unless he got out really early and sold it all, unless he was in on it and they told him, "Hey, we're about to dump. Make sure to pull out now and get your money out before." Yeah, I don't see them doing that.
That's not the story. He got hacked, and this is the thing that I have trouble. I'm not sure if I believe. I kind of feel for him if he did get hacked, because there was this thing. He like got hacked in like December 2017, where he lost like $1 million, and I'm thinking either he
so did Ian Bellina, quote unquote.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like, okay, he either got hacked or he just needed to exit. And I mean that's just the easiest way. I'm like Ian Bellina, there's no way that guy got it. I mean, you got to be I don't know. I mean, like, anyway, to get back to what I'm talking about here. So the reason I joined his group is because he has his Patreon group where he uploads these videos where he talks about the next Uniswap thing he's getting into. And I was like, okay, I got to see what people are doing here. And it turns out I think what he is doing is just the same ICO shit where he does a bunch of research on a project. He thinks it looks good. It's got partnerships coming up. It's doesn't have a logo yet, so like it's really early. And like a lot of them are like, he's like, it looks like a scam, but I'm going to take my chance on it anyway. And he's like, he doesn't tell any of his followers to do it, to buy these things, but I'm sure everybody is. And that's it. And I've heard other people on Twitter and stuff talk about the same exact thing, like looking for projects really early, like trying to be one of the first people, that even hears it. Like it's all about being the first person to invest. I mean, it's same thing as Silicon Valley, really. Like a while.
So is Uniswap? I thought Uniswap used to be a token.
Yeah, I think it did. I think that's how they raised the money to build it. Just like many others. Now there's TrustSwap, and now there's Unitrade and TradeSwap,
Unitrade,
and all of these.
No, but I'm on CoinGecko and I'm looking for Uniswap, and Uniswap there isn't a token for Uniswap.
Oh yeah, they exit scams. They exit scams so they could build their. I'm just kidding. I don't know. That would be funny though.
I mean, it just says exchange, and I was like, oh, because I
maybe you're
Crypto
thinking
Bobby
of
was on
AirSwap.
AirSwap's
a different
thing.
It. But yes, I don't know what's happening.
AirSwap,
all of these decentralized exchanges, I thought we were supposed to have a lot of them by now, and part of me was thinking that this is never going to work, and I still don't quite understand how it does work. I mean, somebody's got to maintain that website. It's not just like on Mars or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It is crazy. I mean, I think it's moving. It's like the ICO craze. It's moving so fast, people can't keep up, and a lot of YouTubers are now reaching out and saying, "Hey, I'm hiring because we need help trying to keep up with all this."
Yeah, totally.
But like you get people like BitBoy. He's a YouTuber. He's just an altcoin chill guy, and he's like, these are my top 5 to take you to the moon, and I know somebody who put $500 in and became a millionaire overnight. I'm not kidding. It's just like, okay, dude,
cringy.
Well, so everything's sub 300 on the coin market cap, so it's just like
the other thing about Trevon James, he's really into Tron. He's really into Tron. So just like stay the fuck away from him. Stay the fuck away from him.
Of course he is.
I spent $5 to see what it was about. It was worth it for me. It was pretty funny. So here's the thing that
tax write-off.
Totally had to join an investment group. So here's the thing that actually is interesting to me. So we've added an element of choose your own adventure to how you're going to make money in crypto. Now you can lend and you can borrow and you can buy and you can stake and all these things. But I thought ICOs were pretty creative. I thought that was pretty interesting that now we've changed the way fundraising can happen. We can do a sort of anonymous fundraising and it can work. That's kind of cool, I guess. Like it doesn't have to go through regulatory bodies, for better or for worse. And then lo and behold, we've got another bull run fueled by this, which is even more creative. It feels, and I tweeted this, but like it feels like complicated games, like role-playing games, literally like choose your own adventure games where you gamble. It's like, oh, how am I going to gamble on this? And that makes me think, well, 5 years from now, 4 years from now, what's the next thing going to be like? Like, what is is it going to be like a more complicated version of this? Or is it going to be like, because, here's the thing. When the ICO craze happened, I thought you can't top that, really. I mean, I know that we were going to have I was always bullish in the sense that I thought that we were going to have another big bubble where where it becomes more mainstream and people start, people everywhere start owning a little bit of crypto. But it looks like we might get something before that is another weird, nerdy, like video game finance thing. Finance the video game.
So apparently the U.S. government's already starting to look into DeFi, and so I think it's going to be pretty. I think it's going to quickly get shut down, and then it's going to have to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be like whack-a-mole, where they're constantly shutting stuff down, and somebody's creating something new. And if they're smart, they would create like 10 things all at once, and then just implement one at a time. And as that got shut down, just go to the next one and the next one, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But like, my thing is like, what's going to stick around?
I don't know.
And I think for a long-term person who doesn't really want to deal with it, like that's what I'm constantly trying to figure out. Is like, I don't want to think about it. Just what can I put my money in? And I wish there was a low-cost index yield fund or whatever they're called.
I think a lot of those OGs are thinking the same thing. They're like, oh man, I don't want to have to do another bunch of research like I did in 2017. A lot of them didn't want to look at ICOs. They're like, I just want to mine and sell my coins.
A lot of them don't even want to look at NANO, and it's been around since 2017, and they don't want to look at that. And I'm just like, you guys, how lazy are you? Well, but so it's like I was looking at because Polkadot came out. And I was like, oh, shit. Like, I'm hearing all this shit about Polkadot. I was like, oh, my God, I got to look at this. So, like, I start researching Polkadot. What's it about? Oh, so it's kind of like Cosmos. Okay. And it's also kind of like Fusion. It's like, holy shit. So I start looking at the three of those together and just trying to figure all that out. And it's just like, okay, well, those are actually kind of interesting and kind of important. But still, even then, it's just like, one's owned by a Chinese guy in China, and it's kind of like ONT. I tweeted on my account today about Ontology, and one of the co-creators is like the assistant deputy minister of finance or something like that for China. And I'm like, okay, so probably the Chinese Communist Party is going to have some oversight over Ontology. Do I really want to get involved with that? Because at that point, it's just completely manipulated. Not that the U.S. government doesn't manipulate stocks like crazy, especially Trump. But I guess that's. I don't know. I just kind of answered my own question.
Regulation,
like, is anything really safe?
Yeah, regulation. But the regulation, like you said, it's behind. BitMEX is doing KYC at the end of this month. Like finally.
But China is never behind. The U.S. is constantly like 100 feet behind, and China's just like usually a foot ahead, and being like they're spotting the stuff ahead of time and shutting stuff down and just confiscating stuff. And I'm just like, okay,
yeah, that makes
you're just going to confiscate all my ONT tokens, Whereas,
but as far
that's the good thing about democracy is it takes time for everybody to agree on something and then to actually do something about it. And then, by that point, everyone's exit scammed and they've gotten their money and gone on to the next thing.
Speaking of BitMEX, I can't quite figure out why they're KYCing now and why this happens to exchanges, why they're like, now it's time to play nice with the government. Is it because like the CIA is like, the IRS
probably
steps in and says, you better do this or we're like bombing you. I don't know what happens because BitMEX happily sat by very publicly and just laughed while everyone got liquidated. So they could do to him what they do to Russian nationals and just sanction them and say, and so that means that any country that America has relationships, he couldn't travel there. And any bank that they had relationships with, they would freeze all of his assets. Oh, I see. So Arthur
and that makes
Hayes
it very difficult to live. Yeah. That makes it really hard to live if you get on their radar and they start doing that to you.
So maybe that's what's happening. Maybe he's actually getting personal pressure to do that to BitMEX or something, which is pretty crazy. Pretty crazy that he got to that much power that he well done. Must have woken up very early in the morning to get that done.
So I think like I just read that he's going dark in what's one of the provinces in Canada.
He's going dark. He's like
BitMEX is going dark in that province because it doesn't meet their regulatory standards, and so he's just like, all right, I'll just pull it. From like all of Edmonton or something like that, or like all of I forget what it was.
But how do you even do that? I mean, it's still a website on the internet. It's not like, how do you go dark? Like, you can always use.
You can
VPN.
just say your IP is from a place where that we don't. I mean, it's the same way like Binance US. If you're in Florida and your IP address is Florida and you sign into Binance US, it doesn't work.
But VPNs. I mean, there are BitMEX is already dark all around the US, so it's like
but that's not BitMEX's fault. BitMEX can't stop people from breaking the law.
Oh, I know.
BitMEX can only cover their own ass, and so that's what they do. They just say, hey, how many people in New York couldn't use Coinbase for the longest time, or whatever, whatever ones they couldn't use because New York has such strict laws, and they'd be like, God, I don't want to have to go on a VPN and break the law every single time I just want to trade some crypto. It's frustrating.
Yeah. It seems like it's only a matter of time before VPNs are like operating in decentralized ways too. I don't know if that's a thing in crypto, but because there's still, with all these VPN services, central point of failure, they've got to be so tight with their security. Either that or it's just a way to monitor around them or something. It seems like,
I mean, isn't that what Orchid is all about?
I don't know.
On that Dave Portnoy is talking shit about, that he was going to try to pump and dump and then got wrecked. By wrecked, 1.6 of his
it's a bull run when there's new clowns, when there's like a new McAfee. When there's a new, he's the new Ian Bellina. he's the new clown. I think he's more like a McAfee than anything else. He's but yeah. So we've got welcome to the new bull run. It must be because,
dude, I don't want to jinx it.
But I mean, we got new clowns. It's got to be.
I need a new computer so the bull run can't happen fast enough.
I mean, the thing is I'm like, oh, I want to see it down at like, $3,000. I want to see it down at 1,000.
Oh yeah, I would love to.
We got that. We got that twice. We got that twice in the last 2 years.
Dude,
so we got our chances. You usually don't get a third chance with crypto.
Yeah.
And so like I guess it's time. But I also do think that all of these new people coming in, they don't know what like a 40% pullback in Bitcoin looks like. They don't know that. And then it's going to be like, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be September 2017 all over again. It was China FUD. Remember China FUD?
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to happen this year. I think 2020 is going to be like 2016. slowly pull people in, slowly, like nothing too crazy. And then 2021, once you got a ton of new liquidity in, you fucking ramp it up and then just take all their money.
Yeah, we'll see.
So that's what I'm thinking.
I have no idea.
Because so far it's been pretty consistently 4-year cycles. And so if that rings true,
yeah,
2021 would be the year, like the end of 2021.
I really don't like playing that game. To me, it's just like it's dangerous to. I just accept the fact that I don't know what the fuck is gonna happen. The only signals, that we get are the really social ones, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, I like my technical analysis. I think I'm all right at it, but the technical analysis is not something that tells me what's going to happen with the price. It just gives me an edge to be able to say this is where I lose money, or this is where I make money.
Yeah.
So it's like I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, we're 2016 right now. We're at the beginning of the next cycle or whatever." And it's like, "Nah, you don't know that. You don't know that at all. We could be going down for another year." And better mentally prepare for anything, because that's the truth. Like, we really don't have any clue. This could be one big fake out. I really don't think if this was the beginning of the next big cycle, then wouldn't there be more disbelief right now? I mean, like, isn't that the way?
Shorts for Bitcoin are at a 4-month high right now.
Yeah. I just feel like this time around there's too many people that are like, all right, time the bull market started. Everybody come on, follow me, join my paid group.
Yeah, but that's it. So like the greed meter is at like 79% right now. It bumped into the 80s like in the last week. And so I think that's why shorts are starting to so shorts are starting to go up, and
we have all these
it's crazy
new metrics now.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, but it's like, it's kind of true. Like, you kind of have to, I mean, it's kind of what you have said in the past. You're like, I don't know, I'm hearing a lot of bull talk on Twitter. It seems like it's the perfect time to short, and it's just like people kind of had that same feeling. They're like, dude, we should make a website about this. Call it the greed meter, and like,
totally. I mean, when that Dave Portnoy guy said he was buying a bunch of Link, I mean, come on, could there not? Yeah. It was like all-time high, like, extravaganza, and he's buying. Like, could that not be a better top indicator?
I mean, and it was a super huge topping wick, and he bought it on a topping wick.
I thought he was supposed to be like some killer trader or something. I don't even know who that guy is. He's got like 1 million followers, but I don't know who he is. I'm so out of it.
I heard about him like a week and a half ago, and I was like, who the hell is this guy?
I don't know. Big personality.
And I'm like, if you have $100 million and you're still day trading, bro, talk to a therapist. There's something wrong with you. You have an addiction.
Crazy.
Oh, shit. Anybody, all you multimillionaires listening to the show, because I know we have a ton of you.
Yeah.
If you're still day trading and you're a multimillionaire, go see a therapist. It's okay. You don't need $100 million. You're never going to spend it. It's just all compensation for a small penis. Just get a penis enlargement.
Oh,
That's
man.
it. Or like get hair plugs. It's all good. No one's going to judge.
Oh, man.
Except for me and JJ. We'll talk.
No, I won't judge. I don't think there's anything wrong with wearing hair plugs or having a small penis. But
exactly.
I mean, like, my hair and penis are fine, but if they weren't, then I'd be okay with that. I'm confident in my masculinity.
I can contest
enough.
I can contest about his hair. He has luscious long hair. Yeah. I'm jealous. He has way more hair than I do.
So, all right. It's a crazy time to be in crypto. It's crazier than it was last week. It was crazier than it was yesterday, and I think that's kind of cool. There's lots of different things going on. And if you're new, welcome. If you're new and you're confused, that's about right. And if you're new and you're wondering what you should be doing, like, you probably should just be buying Bitcoin and then maybe Ethereum. And, we actually, so when I really got into crypto, I was pretty lucky because Coinbase only had Bitcoin, and then it had Litecoin and Ethereum. And like, And that was cool because you couldn't really screw up if you were just buying on Coinbase. But now Coinbase has like a billion coins where you're like, oh, I think I'll buy this one called, XYX coin. Numir or whatever.
Like, what the hell is that?
But so like, if you're not, we can't give you advice. Of course, this isn't crypto advice, of course. But like, I would say don't.
It is crypto advice. It's just not crypto advice on what to buy.
Okay. Yeah.
We offer advice on, do your research. Don't send money to anonymous addresses.
Yeah. One thing.
Don't be stupid.
I think that would have helped me a lot is if somebody would have told me, like, you know what, if you're just patient, you'll make money. Like in fact, it's actually better if you're going to buy something and then just chill. Like not do anything else. You'll make money if this is an actual bull market. Doesn't matter really what you buy.
If we're at the beginning stages, if you buy anything probably in the top 50, and you just sit on it, you'll probably make 5x.
Well, you also will have to sell it also at some point, because a lot of these coins they go all the way up and then they go all the way back down. So like you have to sell them when they start going up. And then the other thing is like, don't be hard on yourself. That's like one of the things that's really hard. Like you're gonna sell it too early, or you're gonna sell it too late, or you're not gonna buy the thing that the other guys bought, and that's okay. Like you're not perfect. Just be patient. Pack your bags. You'll be good.
My first bull market, bear market, I rode it to the top and then rode it to the bottom, and I didn't realize that because it was the hodl meme was everywhere. Strong hands, don't sell, blah blah.
Crazy.
And all those fuckers were selling left and right.
You think so?
All the people who were telling you to hodl, oh hell yeah!
Wow, it's crazy.
They were selling left and right.
Wow.
And they were buying in at the bottom.
Because
they all know.
People don't say that anymore. Now people are all like, always take profits. Take profits, take profits. And I remember that Coin Mastery guy was always saying take profits too. Although I think he wrote it all the way up and all the way down too. I think I remember one of his videos is he was like, I didn't make any money actually. It's this entire bull run and I just traded it out. Because that's kind of what happens. If you decide you're going to go move your Bitcoin into altcoins and then move it all around, you'll probably find that like after the bull run, you'll be like, I could have just held Bitcoin and made more money than I did. Yeah. Because I was too busy trying to catch whatever. And that's what the markets are there to do, is to take your money. So
yeah, that's why they gamify it, to like kick in all those endorphins and stuff and make you excited, and all the pretty lights like the Robin Hood.
So we're 46 minutes in. Do you want to talk about some rent seeking? I know you had that on the agenda.
Man,
rent seeking.
So everybody doesn't.
So capitalists.
Do you know what rent seeking is? I mean, you know what rent seeking is?
Why don't you tell me what rent seeking is? I know what it is, but I want to hear you say it.
So it's when you don't contribute to society and you have other people kind of do all the work for you. So in modern terms, it's like buying a bunch of apartment complexes that you didn't pay for, that you took out loans for. You put like 5-10% down. You like put the minimum down and then rent them out to somebody and let them pay off your mortgage for you.
And people are taught this by their parents, man. It's fucking messed up.
So you're building your wealth through somebody else's hard work, and you're not doing the work.
Yeah,
it's disgusting. It's
well, it's also disgusting because like what often people do when they're buying properties, they want to be landlords. They need to raise the rent on people. They're basically making a bet that the property value will increase faster than people's money. Like will increase, but money will become less valuable. You're basically making a bet that the people renting your house will get poorer and poorer, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's the goal is, well, I mean, you don't want them to get poorer and poorer. You want them to stay roughly the same amount of poor.
Yeah.
So they're kind of trapped in your place.
Well, you're betting against the value of, I guess you're betting that your property value goes up, even though you technically can't afford your house, is what it is.
Yes.
So
yeah. So that's the goal is you think the value of your house is going to increase and you can pay it off through your renter's hard work. And so when I talk to rent seekers, they say, well, I maintain the property, I do the repairs.
Yeah.
I said, you do the repairs or do you hire somebody? Well, I hire somebody. Yeah. But like okay, so you're not really doing any work. Mm-hmm. You're collecting money and you're paying off your mortgage with it. And my question to them is, okay, they say, my renters value what I do for them. I said, well, do they, or do they not have a choice? I said, here's the litmus test. Go to every single one of your renters and say, would you like to rent to buy this property? I won't ask for a down payment. Every single dollar you've put into renting for me so far, that'll be your down payment. And every dollar you put in will go towards ownership. Would you like to do that? I said, ask your renters that and see what kind of reply. See how many of them really, really want to rent because they just don't want to own property. Like this is their logic. They say, oh, people just don't want to own property. They just don't want to. Like, okay.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah. Here's the litmus test. Ask. Because every single person I know, except for like 3, and my mom's one of them because she's old and she doesn't want to have to maintain a property. If they were anybody under 50, if they were given the option to stay in their apartment, keep paying the same rent, but all that rent went to ownership instead of just handing it to your landlord, they would all take it. Would you, if the person who owns your house said, hey, you want to keep paying the same and you can own it when you're done, when you're just pay it off? Would you do that?
First of all, this game of I'm going to take out a loan to buy something that I couldn't afford before, that I'm going to bet on that I'm going to be able to make enough money from the schlubs that I rent it to. I feel like there's like a really good Uniswap token in
it's a full-on Ponzi scheme. It's an absolute Ponzi scheme.
There's got to be a DeFi equivalent of this game. And so how does this relate to crypto?
So you have all these bankers, all these hedge funds, all these companies buying up Bitcoin left and right. And they say, oh, we're hedging against the US dollar. Or, you have Grayscale or whatever. Captain Gray Skull, whatever it is, Gray whatever.
Gray Skull.
Who
by the power of
for
Gray
the last
Skull.
for the last year.
Gray Skull. I have the Bitcoin.
So for the last couple of months, they've been buying more Bitcoin than have been mined. Yeah, they were bragging about it, and it's like, okay, cool. So this idea of you have all these people who buy up all this property, and then they claim there's they're just doing what the market tells them to set the price. It's like, well, no, you're not. Like, the market doesn't tell you what to set the price is. The person down the street who decided to charge $100 more and got away with it, you say, oh, that person did it, so I'm going to do it too. You don't need that money. You want that money. If you were paying your bills today, you don't need to raise your rent tomorrow. Not by like 300%, which is happening. So if all these people in the banks and all that, if they're just sitting, they're buying up all the Bitcoin and then they're just sitting on it. And even though more Bitcoin is being bought than being mined, the price is still just kind of stagnant. And you have all these shorts going up. Does that actually help the people? If all the Bitcoin is sitting in the bankers' hands, just like all the housing is sitting in the rich people's hands, how does that actually help society? Because if all the Bitcoin's sitting in the bankers' hands, we're not using it.
Yeah, Michael. We're always going to have a lot of problems when we ask, how is that helping humanity? I mean, because here's my hypothesis: is just like nation states who decided to start hoarding all the gold when we were on the gold standard. What did they do? They turned around and said, "Here's a paper dollar. It's worth this much gold. Trust us." Mm-hmm. If all the bankers end up holding like 95-100% of the Bitcoin because they just buy it all up from people, what are we going to be using Bitcoin for? We can't.
So they're going to start turning around and saying, here's a piece of paper that says this is worth this much Bitcoin. And people are going to start using digital notes saying it's worth Bitcoin, even though it's not.
I see. Interesting. Well, and then you have the modern banking system there.
Exactly. Like we're already allowing it to happen by getting excited about Wall Street getting into Bitcoin. All we did was, here's my tinfoil hat hypothesis, is all the OG Bitcoiners who said we want Wall Street to get involved, they were all like in some altcoin the entire time, knowing that all the Bitcoin would get used up and people would just switch over to some altcoin. So I mean, but I just don't think they're smart enough to do that.
Well, I mean, I don't. Yeah, probably not. I don't know.
So I know we're going to have a bunch of libertarians screaming at me while they're listening to this, but like, that's not what rent seeking is. It's like, I hate to break it to you. That's what rent seeking is. Every single person in your community fucking hates you. If you own more than 2 houses, if you own more than 1 house in your community, every person in that fucking community hates you. I hate to break it to you. Yeah. Now there's a difference between taking a condo that's meant for like a small family to buy, and that's like your first purchase, and then you work your way up, and versus an apartment complex. Like apartment complexes are zoned to be rented because there's always going to be people who need to rent at any given time. You're new to the city, you don't know where to buy. You're working somewhere and you're only there for 6 months. You can't buy something. So that's why you have apartment complexes. There's a need for renting, for landlords, for rentals, but those are zoned for that. But when you're taking something that's meant to be owned and a way for a family to build capital, well, if you own more than 1 house, you're denying a family that ability to build capital. It's so you're personally hurting one family with every extra home you own.
I think so. So what about a situation where? Well, there's a couple of things going on here. One is, and I mean, I don't want to talk too. I'd like to relate this to crypto, but I have got a question since you think a lot about this. What about somebody who's relatively young, rents an apartment and owns a house that they can rent out to a family, so that they can have an investment property, so that when they turn 40 or whatever, they'll be able to actually buy a house that they moved into. Because right now, wages are so low that very few people very, very few people are hoping to be able to own a house. And it's been like that for a while, even though our economy technically is skyrocketing or whatever. So people are being forced to think about how to invest their money, how to make good investments. There was actually an amazing Twitter post where this guy asked Twitter, he said, my girlfriend wants to buy a property. She wants to buy a house that we can rent out. And I haven't yet told her that I'm against the idea because I'm against rent seeking. And she thinks it's just a smart thing to do since they're going to get married and have family and have kids, that they want to have money when they're older. But for me, I'm thinking about the effect this has on humanity. And it's like, I mean, good for him. But like most people, I don't fault the girl for thinking like, I just got to do whatever I can do so that I can have a family. And if this is something that I've got to do because this is the world that we live in, I mean, like, how do you sacrifice that? It's my thing, especially if you've got parents that are like basically telling you, you gotta invest your money. You gotta be smarter than all these other sheep or whatever. I mean, it's just a fucked up problem.
We have to spread the word essentially. And as a society, we have to understand that it's morally wrong because they're not doing anything different than stealing.
I guess not.
It's just theft. It's theft off of someone else's labor.
Yeah. I think most people, mostly people in crypto, are not. I mean, are you kidding me? People in crypto are not thinking about this. That's the crazy thing about crypto. Crypto is they're
all about stealing as much as they possibly can, as long as it's legal. That's all trading is.
So one of the reasons that Michael and I we decided to have a podcast was because when I met Michael, I was like, "Whoa, you're like into crypto for the altruistic reasons. You're like into the socialistic reasons. I mean, the idea that we could level the playing field here and everyone could get a fair chance. When everybody around us at this party was like, "I love it because it's the capitalist dream" or whatever, it's like
all these libertarians saying that.
Essentially,
like, oh my
they
God.
they think people who think it represents the free market and that's why it's a wonderful thing. And I'm thinking, well, this crypto revolution might mean that everybody has access to, banking. Everybody has access to money or banking. We kind of reset things. I mean, of course, that's a dream. Of course, that's going to be really, really hard to do, and I don't even know if it's possible. We can talk another episode about that sometime. But I really do believe that crypto has that power and could do something like that. That's one of the reasons that we love it, is this idea that that it's not about rent seeking. It's about everybody getting a come up at the same time, which I think is possible. But
I mean, because I kind of feel like early adopters of Bitcoin, it's the same thing where it's just like, okay, you're not using it. And if it's supposed to be a peer-to-peer currency and you're not using it, then what are you doing? You're just sitting on it and you're allowing other people's labor to grow your wealth.
So our call to action is to like think about this and like question those investments and the investments that you want to make and the things that you want to do in your life and what are the necessities for them. Like, are you willing to do things that are morally wrong so that you can benefit? Because if the answer is yes, then you might as well just steal shit. I mean, you might as well. I mean, I hate to say it, like, oh, okay, you want to do something that you think is legal so that you don't go to prison. That's probably the problem with most corrupt businessmen, or not even corrupt businessmen that are bribing politicians. I mean, they're just doing something that is legal. I'm getting away with it. It's Donald Trump saying I'm a great businessman because I use the bankruptcy system over and over and over again, and that's just being smart. I mean, that's being morally wrong for your own benefit and for the worse for everyone else. So
just so you don't have to pay all the people who worked on your behalf. And that's why he does it. He never declares personal bankruptcy. He declares business bankruptcy for his business, so he doesn't have to pay his bills to the poor people who worked for him.
I'm trying to think of other instances of this in crypto, but the biggest one I can think of is just the reason that everybody is in crypto, which is to kind of take everyone's money. That's what a lot of altcoins really are, unfortunately. And it's probably not the intention of the altcoin creators, but the people pumping it. No one really plans to keep XRP or Ripple or whatever. No one really thinks that's going to be used for anything, but oh man, it has marketing potential. So let's pump it sky high and talk about how it's going to change the Fed or whatever. And so just keep your eyes open for that. And if you're going to take part in it, then good luck.
But it's also hard because it's like, I mean, I have to question, and this is the thing. This is like when I questioned Colin about this. I was like, "Look, dude, you're taking NANO."
Who's Colin? Oh, NANO guy, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Colin.
And hey, Colin. I'm like, you're doing a completely financial experiment on society, and you're asking all these people to invest in your experiment and just hope that it works out. Because we don't know if hard money actually works. Because we've never had, in any instance in society, we've never had a successful example of hard money. Because gold wasn't hard. We still mine gold. Like there's still gold, being found for the first time. So there's always, there's been inflation on gold forever. So like we don't know if a completely, zero inflation cryptocurrency is going to work. But we know that the technology works. So maybe if it's running in the background or this or that or whatever. And so that's just it. It's like it's difficult where I see promise in the technology and I want to support it. and it'd be nice if it went to $1,000 and I could buy a Lamborghini. No, I would never buy a Lamborghini.
What if you could sell it to somebody else for a lot more?
So I think the idea is, and the moral side of me says, okay, well, if this actually became everyday use, not on a, if it was like an underlying asset and the financial system ran on top of it, which I could totally see, because instantaneous transactions that confirm in like 0.2 seconds and don't have any fees. I could totally see the entire finance industry running running on top of something like that. So if it hits a complete worldwide market share, where let's just say it hit like $600 and every single person was using it on a daily basis, and it was roughly it would, and this is the idea behind Bitcoin, is like, well, eventually just kind of flatline roughly. When everyone's using it, they're not going to be saying how much is it worth compared to the ruby or the pound or the US dollar. They're just going to say that's just going to be the price. So then I would just use it, but it's just like the whole thing is like, I feel like I'm investing in Colin and the team when I buy it, but I'm not getting any dividends like I would if I invested in McDonald's or Tesla or something like that. So that's kind of the hard thing. It's like buying it helps push the price up, which supports them as developers, because the higher the price goes, when they have to sell some to pay bills, they have to sell less. Like they're able to sell less to still pay their bills. So it makes their developer fund last longer the higher the price goes. So I do want to support them in that sense. So it's this really weird moralistic challenge that I struggle with in my head.
Yeah.
Of because eventually I'm going to need to sell it to pay my own bills or to retire or whatever. It's like, just like I would with a retirement account. So it is a struggle. It is something I grapple with as somebody who grew up poor and not wanting to potentially put somebody else in the situation where they buy the top and then they lose all their money because I sold it to them. And it's like we talked about earlier. It's like if you're gonna get in an alt during a bull run, you gotta sell the top, because if you let it ride to the bottom, you don't make any money. And then what was the point?
Yeah.
Right. And it's just like, so like it's ingrained in us.
So you gotta support the things that you can support in the time that you're here.
Yeah.
You think a lot about Nano, huh? I mean, it's good. I'm glad somebody's thinking a lot about Nano, but you're like trying to think of how you can morally own Nano and sell it at the same time. Hey, Nano, reply, guys.
When I was thinking about creating my own token, it would be the underlying infrastructure of Nano, but with inflation.
Yeah, I was just gonna make a scam.
The most yam scam.
I was just gonna take my JJ Lend, and throw it on Uniswap, and say, "Go get him,
make $1 million.
Go get him. Here's all of my ETH and liquidity. Go get it. I'll have a website soon. It's gonna be a kick-ass website. Trevon James is buying." Shout out to Trevon. He's got to come on the show now. I should get him on the show.
He does.
We can get him on the show.
We should honestly have him on and ask him, like, are you losing all your money, or are you just fucking like a secret millionaire and just like fucking everybody over? Like, we should totally just put him on the spot and be like, yo, answer the questions.
He'll probably be honest with us. I think he's actually pretty honest. Huh.
I know. That's the scary thing. It's just like
all of his early videos. Yeah.
It's the same thing with like Richard Hart. It's just like, okay, dude is so honest. Either he's like the greatest Jedi mind trick guy in the world, or
yeah, it's pretty fun. I mean, the scams are really fun to follow. The scams and the scammers. And it's still crazy that like the Hex thing is still going. Like
I know.
He's still like he did a live stream the other day. I saw him post about it. Like he did like an 8-hour live stream or something.
Dude. I saw it on my Twitter feed, so I clicked on it. I fell asleep. I woke up an hour and a half later.
Wow.
He was still going. Yeah, I just I turned it off. I came back 6 hours later. He's still going. I'm like, oh my God, man, this guy's dedicated to his craft.
You listened to Richard Hart in your sleep. That means he's in your dreams now. Oh yeah, man, that's crazy. I wonder, when I saw that he did that, I was like, is he doing this just because he's worried that people are going to start selling if he doesn't do? I mean, that must be it. I don't know why else he would do them. They're the most. He doesn't talk about anything, right? He just talks about whatever.
Well, he disappeared for a while, for like 4 months, and the price tanked.
Oh,
and I'm wondering if people thought that he was doing an exit scam.
Oh, he disappeared? I thought he was still around, like on Twitter.
And honestly, as soon as he did that, over the last 5 days, it's gone. It started to go back up.
That's the way crypto works. These marketers, man. Wait till you see what Justin Sun from Tron can do. He and Trevon James together.
Yamtron.
From tendies to yams to tacos or whatever. Man, I wonder what's next. I wonder what's next. I'm so excited. Well, we should probably get going. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Yep. I guess we'll end it around here. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.